by rejecting the petition filed by 14 political parties led by the Congress alleging arbitrary use of central investigating agencies such as the Enforcement Directorate and the Central Bureau of Investigation against opposition leaders, the Supreme Court has taken a just and fair step, for such pleas come totally with a sense of entitlement that the political class often seeks from the judiciary. The parties filing the petition were of the view that the central probe agencies were being used by the Union government as a weapon to calm down on dissent, arresting opposition leaders. The apex court has rightly reminded the petitioners that political leaders do not enjoy higher immunity than a common citizen while seeking legal guideline in a particular case involving central agencies. Now, with the Supreme Court ruling bringing closer to another opposition shenanigan, the petitioner parties must reflect upon the premise of their plea, which was nothing less than a self goal with larger repercussions. The opposition was clearly in a mood of playing the victim card and moved the judiciary with a sense of special privilege without considering the longer ramifications of their decision. The apex court's refusal to get persuaded by the opposition party's counsel and its critical observation on the conduct of the political parties now sets the benchmark for all such cases where political parties and members in that space would seek special privileges. Para. To be very frank, the petitioners clearly jumped the gun, perhaps alarmed by the swoops on politicians, bureaucrats, and connected people by central agencies in cases that have withstood judicial scrutiny. The high number of raids, survey, and subsequent action by ED as well as the CBI in cases related to money laundering, black marketing, and national security have reminded the point of consternation for the opposition parties, but they tend to forget the simple fact that the people involved in those cases have been found wanting in a logical explanation before the law enforcement agencies as well as various courts by alleging misuse of central probe agencies. The petitioner parties have generalized the entire gamut, and in fact given clean chit to all the accused in such cases. It was not expected of the petitioners, who have some top legal brains of the country as their advisors. There was a clear tinge of fear in the petition, which was reflected in the arguments put forth by senior advocate Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, who told the bench of Chief Justice of India Mr. Dhananjay Chandrachud and Justice J.B. Paridiwala that there was a chilling effect on the opposition due to CBI and ED cases against leaders of the political parties. The argument itself was loaded with unjustified anxiety by politicians without any logical evidence to back their claims. The Supreme Court was on the coin yet again, as it reminded the petitioners that the answer to their anxiety lay in the political space and not in a courts. It was a clear cut warning for the petitioners not to generalize things by extrapolating a few statistics into guidelines. The apex court cannot be expected by lay down guidelines merely on the basis of some statistics related to politicians. It would be tantamount to trivialization of a serious issue, for politicians cannot be counted ahead of the common man of the country. Para. The answer to the opposition anxiety lies in the robust legal mechanism provided to each citizen by the Constitution. Merely by speculating vendetta by the Union government, the opposition cannot be by itself cloak of immunity from their political dealings. If those dealings fall on the wrong side of the law, then they are bound to explain it as per lay down protocols. Every politician is accountable to the nation. Just because it is not a perfect experience does not mean it is a bad experience. Just because people do not completely agree with you does not mean they hate you. Most situations are not all one way in a particular dimension or all the opposite way. A great portion of life is lived in the middle ground. Certainly, extremes do exist, yet it's likely at most time that what you are experiencing is not one of them. When you make a couple of serious mistakes, it can feel like you are unable to do anything right, but that not even remotely true, because the vast majority of your action are successful at creating the result you intended.